My internship was at a state school. It held classes from prep to year 6. I was in a 2-3 year composite class. It was a highly diverse classroom of 24 students. There was a majority of students identified with low socioeconomical backgrounds. Also, there was a range of learning abilities of high to low achieving standards. And there was a small combination of cultures. They were mostly Indigenous and Asian. And there was also a range of verified disabilities. The 2 verified were ASD and ADHD. In consultation with my mentor, the first thing we decided to do was get my name out there. So I decided on a parent communication letter, which was put on the classroom door. This letter was just to introduce me to the parents and carers that would come up to the classroom, so they knew who was in their child's classroom for the next 4 weeks. It was quite simple. It was straightforward. It just basically said who I was, what I was there for, how long I was there for, and what I would be doing in their child's classroom. To start with, the whole school communications plan to communicate with parent and carers started at the school year. So they had a parent-carer information night. They brought the parents together as a whole, and then they split the parents into their children's year levels, and the classroom teacher would give information to the parents once they were split into that groups. They hold a whole school assembly, which is in the mornings at 9 AM Fridays. This is to present students with awards, and also we have PBL on those days, and we go through the rule of the week. Also, there is a school bag app, and that gives alerts to parents if children are on excursions or if letters need to be brought back to school. There is a fortnightly newsletter that it comes out both online and also in a paper version. However, I believe the parents need to go to the office to get a paper version. They're not sent home with the children. There is a letter sent home at the start of the school year, which I thought was a very good idea, given the diversity of the school, and it is to let the parents advise the school of preferred communication, so they could either tick an email, phone or text. So that's a great idea, I found. And there's a digital notice board on the school grounds, and that helps to communicate not only to parents and carers, but also to the Charleville community as a whole. My mentor uses many different approaches to communicate with parents and carers. She says this is because of the diversity not only of her class, but also the whole school as a community, and she tries to promote building stronger relationships, which is a whole school approach. So she does this by, in her class information center at the start of the year, she lets parents and carers know her classroom routine and the expectations that she would like to see in her classroom. She does up a weekly newsletter every Monday that lets parents know what's going on in the classroom for that week, and also if anything is coming up that parents need to be made aware of. She contacts parents via their preferred contact choice. She has informal chats with parents at the end of the school day. So when parents are picking up their children, she'll pop down. She has a chat, and she says this is a great way to make rapport, not only with the parents, but also the students. They like to see that you're having a chat with their mum and dad or carer at the end of the day. Parents and carers are always welcome to discuss any concerns with her. She says she has an open door policy, but she has let them know that they must make a time in advance due to other commitments before and after school. So this time is to discuss any of those sensitive or confidential issues that might be happening that you can't have a chat in the school grounds. Formal parent interviews, second week of last term. So she sends out a timetable 2 weeks before the interviews are to start. Parents slot in a time. She looks at all the times, does up the last roster a week out before the interviews, and she sends that back to parents. Great idea, the last one, children's pockets to store information if they are absent. So anything communication, homework pops in the children's pockets. This way the teacher doesn't have to look after it until the children comes back to school. So that's a great idea that she had. So there's lots of good ideas there that I would take on board when I do my own communication plan as well. Okay, so the timeline for communication, pretty much my mentor said this is set as a school-based expectation, so pretty much each year level has the same timeline for communication, and that sits as, so informal events, 1 week notice from date of event, parent helper timetables. She sends these out each month. She has reading and maths rotations, and the parents just advise her via text, email, or fills in the form that they can help on a certain day for a certain time. Formal requests start of the week either by phone, so that's the first option. First option is always a phone call, she's told me, and then she'll email or she will send a text. Now, students of the week are given out on the Friday parade days in the morning, so she lets parents know. She said either Wednesday afternoon or Thursday morning at the latest. She will normally send a phone call or sometimes a text. Emergency, so the parent and carer is called by either the deputy or the principal. That's the first point of call with the parent. The classroom teacher then follows up with that parent with a phone call after the school day finishes. This is school-wide. Again, that's not her rules. That's how the school would like that to be run. Life after internship, when I have my own class, I would take on a variety of methods to communicate with parents and carers. That could be in note form, text, phone. I have to be mindful that not everyone has access to technology in today's society. So I would have a parent induction night, go through classroom routine, classroom expectations, definitely do the preferred method of contact slip. Great idea, that way I would know how to contact parents. Weekly newsletter to go home with homework, once again gives a snapshot of what's going on in the classroom for the week, and any date claimers can go in there to remind parents of what is coming up at school. Student pockets, I think it's a great idea, that way I don't have to look after any notes or homework. So when the students come back, it's all in that pocket and they can just grab it all out and take it home, and I know that nothing has been missed getting to that student. I would have a daily handwritten timetable, so therefore I can jot down any notes on that day and file it away. So therefore, if needed, I can just go back to it and it's all there with the date, the time, and what happened. I would have informal conversations after school. Again, a great way to build rapport with parents and carers. Also, formal meetings, I would have them by appointment, because obviously if they're formal, I would need to be organised. Perhaps I would need to have some student work or some information about the student we're having a chat about. Class Dojo, seen it many times in my placements. Great behaviour management tool for the younger years, and it's a communication tool that can be used to communicate with parents and carers. Once again, I need to be mindful that not everyone has access to technology. Parents interviews, second week into a new term. I thought that would be a good time. You can discuss what happened in the old time, and you can set goals or make plans for that student with their parents in the new term. So that's my communication plan. I'm sure it will chop and change as my career goes on. My timelines for informal events would be 1 week in advance from the date of the event. I would pop this in the class newsletter, and also a reminder could be sent via preferred method of communication the day before the event is taking place. Class Dojo used to send home samples of student work. You can do that daily, and also class messages. So once again, it can be used as that reminder tool. Also, I have to be mindful, not all parents have access to the Class Dojo, to technology, so I'd have to be very, very vigilant that everything went in the class newsletter so that all parents receive the communication. For formal events, I would email or phone call the time, usually 1 week prior to the meeting time. I do a follow-up reminder the day before just to confirm that appointment, and I would do that via the preferred communication method. Monthly rosters for parent helpers, I would put that on the classroom door, email it out, and also it could go home with student homework. I think that's a great way to get the parents and carers into the classroom working with all students. Emergent contact, once again that would be a whole school based procedure, which would be the deputy or the principal would make the first point of contact with the child's parents, and then myself as a classroom teacher, I would make a follow-up phone call at the end of the school day to have a chat to the parent and also just to see how that student is after that day finished. Okay, so that's my timelines that I thought would fit. Once again, I'm sure they will change, extend on as I go throughout my career. Records of communication. So it's important to keep a record of any positive or negative contact that you might have with parents. So in a state school, you record that in one school. As a teacher, even a pre-service teacher, I've kept a diary, and this is to note any conversation interactions with parents. You need to include obviously the date, whom you spoke to, and any details you think is relevant to pop down in your diary. Class daily routine, again, a great way to keep notes that you can refer back to for the day, the time, and anything that may have been going on for that day. You need to store any timetables, interview timesheets, any documents that note contact with parents. And I would have a student file for every student in my class, which would contain about their academics, their social and emotional issues, any family, so siblings, information about mum and dad, any disabilities or trauma that might impact on them in the classroom, communication with parents, carers, and other professionals. Now, this records of communication, the organisation and storage are important as this information could contain sensitive and confidential information. Also is important because just in case there is a complaint made against me, or if my principal or HOD may want to see any forms of communication, I've got it there written down, ready to go. The parent community and engagement framework understands the importance to establish strong partnerships with parents and carers and the wider community. The school I attended for placement strive to establish the strong partnerships with parents, carers, and the wider community. The school acknowledged the importance of working together to provide the best teaching and learning to all students. Working together requires a whole school approach communication plan that is inclusive and suits the dynamics of the school community. The school and teachers strive to establish strong partnerships. A strong communication is fundamental to this partnership and is to build a sense of community between home and school. So as I said, inviting parents into the classroom is a great way to bridge that gap. Whether it might be informal, they can come in and help with rotations, or you might have a grandparents' day, or you might be having a day talking about recycling, so you might have a parent that works in that area. You can bring that parent in and use them to be the teacher and teach them about what is needed for the recycling or whatever might fit into your lessons. So use parents, they're a great tool, a great resource that can be used in the classroom. The Parent and Community Framework has some great initiatives in there. It has some communication strategies appropriate for parents of students of different ages and stages of development. I put a little picture in there of Prep to 2 and Years 3 to 6 that is also hyperlinked to the website. The website is great, and it states that effective communication is an exchange between parents and carers, communities and schools that involves information sharing and opportunities to learn about each other. I particularly like the website because it gives strategies and ideas of how to communicate respectfully with Aboriginal and Torres Strait Islander parents and carers, and that would fit my classroom dynamics very well with the school I just had for my internship, as there was quite a high percentage of Indigenous students in my class, so I would refer to that framework to get some ideas for that. It's a great framework. The National School Improvement Tool was created in 2012. It is a tool used to drive school improvement and therefore overall improve student learning. The Domain 9 concentrates on building community partnerships and to improve opportunities and outcomes for the whole student body. It provides the school admin with ratings of the school's performance around the procedures in place to ensure effective communication, and it's also to monitor and evaluate the intended impacts of the school partnership has made. This tool recognises that parents and families play an integral role within the school community and that they are also partners in their child's education. So the NSIT is a great way for the school to look at what they have in place and improve on that. So as a teacher, I understand that I'm required to adhere to standards of practice and ethical conduct, and these are quite clearly set out on the Queensland College of Teachers website. So the Code of Conduct and Ethical Standards outlines behaviour of professional conduct required by all teachers. It has 6 values that underpin the profession, and they are integrity, dignity, responsibility, respect, justice and care. All of these values are taken into account when deciding on the best method of communication with parents and carers, and it also outlines appropriate information that is to be shared by teachers to parents and carers. The Standard of Practice Standard 7, Professional Engagement, for a graduate position, sets out that I understand and apply the key principle described in codes of ethics and conduct for the teaching profession, and that I understand strategies for working effectively, sensitively and confidentially with parents and carers. So they are the standards of practice that I need to adhere to as a graduate teacher.